Rats. I had that almost perfectly stopped. Good morning. Today is May 15th, 2018. My name is Jeff Fritz. Welcome back to my live stream here on Twitch. I call it Fritz and Friends. Today, I want to do... Good morning, CSharp Fritz and Friends. Hey, Justin, good to see you. And is that Lennon BR? Or is that Ian? I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. Good morning. Welcome back. It is May is for Macs here on my live stream. We're going to be doing some .NET coding on the Mac. And I want to get back into the live stream, the stream tools widgets that we've been working on. Today's also a little bit of a benchmark. Wait a sec, CSharp.net is here. The whole programming language is here. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Thank you for joining us, CSharp.net. Today's a little bit of a milestone here because I'm wearing my first company hat that isn't my employer, and I've chosen to wear an Alienware hat. I'm a big fan of Alienware, of their devices. I happen to have a couple of Alienware hats here in the house, so I'm going with Alienware today. Good morning, Wintermute, and EK4RD. Is that just Eckhart? Is the 4 there to make that a little bit snappier? Good to see you. I got my coffee this morning, so I am set to go. I waited just for you to have coffee. See how that works? But this is my first company hat that I'm wearing that is not my employer. I have a number of folks that are out there that have asked me, hey, can you wear my company's hat here on stream? And I'm never asking for you, the viewers, to pay for any of the expenses here to help keep the show running, to help do some of the things, some of the planning, some of the hardware that I need here on the show. But I'm asking folks that do want me to wear one of their hats to do something like that. I want to see a charitable contribution from them. And we're going to, of course, make sure that goes to our friends at Girl Develop It after one or two of my little expenses are taken care of. What kind of roast is my favorite? Thank you for the follow, Smarty Pantaloons. I'm not sure why Steve disappeared so quickly down there. Steve, come back. Thank you for the follow. What kind of roast? What do you mean, what kind of roast? Like a beef roast? Give me a little bit more there. AU for all, good to see you. So you're going to see me starting to wear a couple of different hats, and I'll be explaining a little bit more about who those folks are that are contributing to our charity and helping support the stream here. Coffee bean roast. Oh my gosh, of course. I like a nice French vanilla is what I'm digging right now. Good morning, Org Brat. Thank you for joining us. So that's what's going on with the hat, and you're going to see a little bit more of that as we continue to support our charity, Girl Develop It, here on stream. Let me bring up, I want to show you, and I know I'm not showing my screen just yet. Give me 1 second. I have details about this week's CSharp Workshop now available for us. I want to make sure that I call these out. So if you go out to GitHub, github.com, CSharp Fritz live stream. So, of course, CSharp Fritz is my GitHub account. And you can ask here in the chat room, and of course, the Fritz bot is there and willing to answer your questions about what's going on here on the stream. You'll learn where my GitHub is. But there's information here about the CSharp Workshop available now. If you click into that, there's information about what's going on. And if I scroll down here, you will see the list of 7 pair programming guests throughout the 8-hour day that we're going to have here. It's going to be amazing. And it's not answering. Did we create the GitHub command here? I thought we had a GitHub command ready to go. Let's see. It worked for you. Oh, it sent the information to you. It whispered it back? Interesting. All right. Nightbot reported that. There we go. I can't remember if we put that command into Stream Tools. But here's our list of guests that we're going to have on Friday. Friday, a full 8-hour workshop. I'm calling it beginner to expert. So Nightbot is being hidden on my in-stream chat here. You can watch all day. You can download, install whichever one of your favorite tools you want here. I'm collecting some links from our friends that are going to be joining us to talk all about, the additional information that we're going to be sharing here on stream. So, that was really loud. Let's back that off. Oh my gosh. There we go. Dev Chatter, thanks so much for the host. I appreciate that. Wintermute, I'll come to your question in just a second. Huge selection of different topics here. We're going to get you from really the basics, getting started with C# programming, down through C# 6 features, and then we'll look at Git basics. There was a request from someone, hey, can you make sure you cover source control topics? So we're going to spend an hour with our friend Sarah Ford, who, not to brag, but she was a top-rated speaker at Build 2018 this week. Sarah's going to be joining us to talk all about Git basics. And another top-rated speaker, the design lead for C#, Mads Torgerson, we are very lucky to have joining us to talk about the latest features and future of C# for an hour. Mads is an amazing speaker. If you saw me last week, he joined us, and he walked through and showed us some real code that I had and how to update it to take advantage of some C# 7.1 features. He's going to talk more extensively about those features here on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. My friend Phil Japixi is going to join us to talk about design patterns. Solid design, that's actually an acronym, SOLID is. And he'll show us some good ways to take your newfound C# knowledge and apply it to application building. And finally, we're going to end the day with my friend Immo Landworth from the .NET Framework team. Immo's going to show us all about the new span of T memory management objects and how we can use those in our applications. Now, last thing before I get started before I get back to Wintermute's question, I need some music in the background here. I'm going to choose this one today. This is, of course, Music to Code By from our friend Carl Franklin. That's the wrong mouse. How's that in the background? Loud? Not loud enough? Too loud? Let me know. Career question. What's your favorite way to prove you can code when interviewing, whiteboarding, take-home project, etc.? That's a really good question. That is a good question. Here's what I'm going to say to that. Let me see if I can... There we go. I knew it. I had the volume turned all the way up on my laptop here. That's better. All right. When it comes to me proving that I can code, I like to point to my GitHub. I like to point people over here and say, well, if you want to see something that I've written, I'll point them to my green tile wall and say, there's all kinds of stuff here that you can take a look at and learn a little bit more about how I write code. You're more than welcome to take a look at any of the samples that I've built. You can take a look at my live stream, of course. You can take a look at the articles, my blog. There's plenty of examples of how I've written code available out there on the web. All of the Microsoft Engineer interviews required napkin code using linked list. So, to be clear, I'm not an expert at algorithms, but I'm an expert at knowing a little bit more of the architecture type things, right? Structuring, building your code for performance, but walking through and doing some of the minutia of algorithm design into account, that's not my bag. Oh no! Let me know, standby reloading, if you have a problem there, and let's see what we can do. But you should be getting some questions answered through the Fritz bot here, and I'm not seeing it detect and handle any questions here at all. Let's cancel this. The fact that it's not picking up any questions, it's literally not listening to any messages there. Let's kick that out. Let me try running the bot again. It should pick up and start listening. So it'll answer some of your questions. So, I showed you down in the live stream the announcement for the C-Sharp Workshop. No, not at all, Wintermute. I'm here to answer questions like that all the time. You know, that's not a problem. All right. And Docker's taking its good old time starting over here. I tell you, I'm getting more and more frustrated with Docker. I don't get it. Let's check some of the power settings here. Make sure that I don't drop any frames as we get going. There we go. Yep, we're in good shape. There we go. Now I'm getting information from Twitch. I need an i9 and 15 cores. I'm actually in the midst of talking to some of my friends at HQ and seeing what I can do to get a little higher end machine here. We'll see about that. So, in other news, I've been talking to our friends over at the Mixer service, and they're very interested in having me come back and join them and broadcast on their service. So we'll see about making that happen. So let me see. I should be able to fire an uptime command here and see that respond. Let's see what happens. Right, there we go. And it should have responded. There it is. All right, fantastic. So we are running well here with the bot hanging out back there. And of course, it does some of the new tricks that we taught it last week with our friend Scott Kate. It will show you. Let's scroll down here. Where is it? In the chatbot commands. We now have our image descriptor command in here, which will take any image that you link in the chat room and report exactly what it is that you're trying to link to. Now, I still need to put in stuff to timeout or ban appropriately if folks post some content that we don't necessarily agree with here in our family-friendly stream. So, it's interesting to me. All of a sudden, the chat has gone completely quiet. You guys still there? Let me know. What I want to do today. There you are. All right, fantastic. There's a couple of issues here. I think we can close this one. Convert usage of XHR to fetch. I believe we cleaned this up. Yep. Cleaned up. There we go. And now using fetch API. All right. We did that the other day. Related career question. How does one assess themselves with respect that WRT with respect to junior, mid-level, etc. without falling victim to the Dunning-Kruger effect? Oh, good question. Now, right, to be clear, the Dunning-Kruger effect, cognitive bias in which unskilled individuals suffer from illusory superiority. In other words, you think you're better than you really are. That's a great follow-up question there, Magnus. How do you define junior, mid, and senior? Junior, of course, I really think of as somebody who's fresh out of school, has very little training, is still getting a grasp of their tools, how to use all of the features of the framework, of the language that you've chosen and that you're using for whatever project it may be that you're working on. Mid-level, I look at as somebody who knows their tools well and also knows a bit of the space that they're working in. They can operate effectively on their own, but need guidance in order to make sure they're on track. MHD Bauk, welcome. Thank you for the follow. I look forward to seeing you in the chat room and hearing your questions. But when I think of senior, that's somebody who's very much a self-starter, needs very little guidance. They can take tasks on their own. They're self-paced. They know how to drive themselves as fast as they need to. They know their tools very well, and are able to give help to the junior and mid-level folks. So it's that teaching and mentoring I start to look for from senior level folks. When people started coming to me for advice or to solve complex issues, quickly I knew I could call myself a senior dev. Exactly. There you go. Great point there, Standby Reloading, and that points back to a little bit of that mentoring type of discussion, right? Someone who's senior is going to mentor. They're going to be that sounding board that gets a lot of the questions, a lot of the technical questions, and is able to answer them. All right. What do we got going up here? Let's see. All right, so we've converted that, and I need to do one more check here. We started on this one. I think we can close this out. Listed allowed URLs. I think we're almost here. This is a little bit more than what I'm thinking of. Oh, you're welcome, Wintermute. We have added a feature to inspect images posted in the chat room and report on their contents. We need to do a little more work to review links to websites. All right. Yoshimitsu, is Google a senior then? Is that Yoshimitsu? Google's a little bit more than that. Oh, now Nifix is going to try and trick this. Autocorrect is a senior. Well played. Is that you don't assess yourself, your team does. That's a great point, that Juice. Your team kind of puts you in that level. So I guess you could almost say that that level is more of a it's more of a relative rating. You could be at a senior you could be a senior in an organization with a lot of with a lot of less than intelligent folks. But where you might be a senior there, if you go to work at a Facebook, an Amazon, a Google, a Microsoft, you might be considered mid-level when you arrive there. Elected to a senior. That's an interesting way to describe that. Yeah. I hadn't quite thought of that. And Nifix, because that didn't end with something that looked like an image extension, it didn't inspect it. But that is a really long URL. I'm just trying to... it's a reference to Pinterest in Germany. Firefox client. And you were looking up the Ninja Cat, huh? It's like the Matrix. I can read what exactly was going on in that URL. It's also a hilarious image. I'm going to have to take your word on that. Scaredy cat. Ah, okay. All right. So what I would like to do, and I think I had another question over here I want to answer today. Let's go over here. There was a question posted in the live stream that I wanted to make sure I got to today. Yes, here it is. This feels like a whole nother show I need to do. Best practices for ASP.NET Web Forms. And I need to wait till June because I need to be out of Maus for Macs. I'm going to go over here. Consume a web API using an ASP.NET Core web application. I want to take a look at this and show you how you can use this. It's a link to an image search result. It's not actually a link to an image. Well, there you go. That's why there's another reason why I wasn't able to show that. So, Bobby Bong is asking, do you have working code that shows how to consume ASP.NET Web API using an ASP.NET Core web application? And actually, this is something that we do inside of Stream Tools. So, let's open up our... what's this called? Let's open up our terminal. Let me go into Fritz. That's not it. Fritz.stream tools. And this project actually does exactly that. It consumes web API from ASP.NET Core. So I'm going to start Visual Studio Code from here. There we go. Fantastic. All right. Let's take a look-see here. So I have, and even if I don't have a sample, I'll build one here to answer Bobby's question. Inside here, we have a controllers, and I've got several different entries here. Some projects are having to, that always happens, doesn't it? Let's scoot this over so we can see this. So the question is an ASP.NET Core web API and querying it from another ASP.NET Core application. Let's go into, I think I do not do it inside there. I know I don't do it here. I might do it in followers controller. Nope, I don't. But let's actually consume this here. Let's actually show this off. I have here a get method at the endpoint of API followers, so that I can consume data. So that I can share data and consume it in another location. So, let's see. This is just returning the current number of followers that we have here on the service. Now, on the Mac, I do not have any of my configuration loaded for connecting out to Twitch. So it's actually going to return a test number of followers that we have currently defined hanging out there on our fake service. So this method is very simple. You know, just go get that value and return it. Now, it doesn't say it here, but it's going to return it in JSON format. All right, so let's actually run the project. Fritz Stream Tools, and I will .NET run. Rest in peace, MSN, always in my heart. Was there an announcement that just happened that I missed? Did something just happen? What are you talking about? Let's see what's going on here. Did something happen to MSN? I lie, but I made you look. Oh, now stop it. Now you got me thinking, oh no, something happened. I had a comment on Twitter yesterday. Where the heck? There it is. All right. So let's open up the website. I had a comment on Twitter yesterday. some of the folks that went to build didn't attend sessions, but decided to rate them anyway and rate them poorly. And that just feels bad for everybody the whole way around. That's kind of like, that's really dirty, you know? MSN released in 95, not sure if I feel nostalgia or just old. Yeah, tell me about it. 23 years old, Microsoft Network. So, it's been around for a while. So here's our number of followers. It's just being output as a number here, but this is actually being formatted with some HTML. If I went to /API/followers, right, I get 14. I just get that number reported back to me, but it's coming back in JSON format. And if I look at the raw data, it's actually just that string. So it's not even, you know, a lot of data around our followers. So let's clean that up a little bit. Make it a little bit nicer. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to actually .NET. That's not how you spell .NET. There we go. .NET watch run. So the watch command is always available to us now with .NET Core 2.1. So .NET watch run says anytime there's a C# file that changes, or a project file, go ahead and restart my application. I miss Windows 9. Is that DQ Twitch? Yeah, right? Windows 9, the Windows that never was. Alright. Instead of just returning this integer here, right? And that's kind of lame. We should actually, to be a better citizen, we should actually return an iAction result. An iAction result will actually contain information about the status code that we want to return, right, to indicate if it was successful or not. And it'll also contain a little bit of payload when we return an OK status. So instead of just returning test followers, what I should do is I should return the OK result, right? And I could say new OK result, but inside of a controller object with ASP.NET, I actually have an OK method that I can overload with the object that I want to return. So let's do that. Let's override, and I'll actually create a new, that's better. I'll create a new anonymous object here, and I will say follower count new equals that, and end the parenthesis, and now I'm returning that OK statement properly. Let's do the same thing down here, and I will create a new, and it's Visual Studio Code trying to be very helpful, but getting in the way. Alright, and end that parenthesis, and if I save this, and you'll see down here, the watch kicks off and restarts this. Now, MHD Bauk, what's really neat about Watch, they updated it significantly now with this release, because now there's actually a compiler service, our Roslyn compiler, that's the code name for the C# compiler, that is running in the background while you're doing a watch. And it'll actually time out after a certain number of minutes if it doesn't get a compile and shut down. But it'll sit out there and it'll rebuild faster. And they're doing more to tune that and make it even better. I love when I get some of that spam, some of those spam phone calls. All right, which way is it? It's way over here. So now let's reopen our website. Let me go back to localhost 5000. It was actually 5001 API followers. And now I actually get an object here that has follower count and then a number. Right, let's add one more feature to this. My keyboard cable here is not reliable. I'm going to have to replace that. Let's add one more piece here. I want to add an as of date. Just to make sure that there's a couple of different things here. And I'll make this as of date datetime.utc now. And let's make sure we make it clear that this is UTC. Let's call this as of date UTC. I'll add a similar feature here, as of date UTC. And it is datetime.utc now. All right. So this is an anonymous type here in C#. I'll save that. You'll see it starts. And we'll be able to actually get now 2 different data points coming out of this. VS 15.7 was heart. You like Visual Studio 15.7. It's interesting how our internal version number is kind of creeping out there, but Visual Studio 15, you'll hear Microsoft folks refer to it as Dev 15, but that's actually the product name, Visual Studio 2017. We refer to it as 15.7, but Jay Miller Dev, thanks so much for following. I look forward to seeing you there in the stream. And Steve, good to see you decided to stick around this time for the animation to finish, instead of just bugging out like you did that first time. Yeah, I'm watching you, Steve. Don't mess with me. All right. Just realized I can download VS for Mac since I upgraded to Sierra. Yeah, Visual Studio for Mac is available. It's nice. I'm trying to get used to Visual Studio Code. So I'll reload now, and now I've got 2 different data points, and there's my date stamp, of course, formatted all the way down to microseconds. I mean, I'm not sure it's exactly that precise, but hey, whatever. I'm always flabbergasted by the quality of the features of the point releases. Tell me about it, Wintermute. What do you think? It's good quality. It's quality that needs some help. Let me know what you think. I work with those folks very closely. I'm more than happy to take your feedback back to them, Wintermute. No, in a great way. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Really good stuff there in that latest version. I encourage you to check out, if you're really interested in Visual Studio 2017, I'm going to make a shout out here to Casey Uhlenhuth and Build 2018. Casey's video here, let's see, that they did on the new productivity features at Build this past week was really good. I encourage you to check this out. It's out there.
With Control Z, it's all undone. So we're going to take Escape to go back just to our single. I'm going to go to the end and grab these last 2 escape characters. And again, I could go through Alt-Shift-Insert and progressively add them one by one. Or because I'm really sure that this character combination shouldn't be anywhere in this file, I'm going to go for Control-Insert.
They'd be thrilled to hear that you're excited about that. Is that, oh man, I'm gonna, give me a second here, I'm gonna try and pronounce this. Champions Bane? I'm not sure. Do you use Visual Studio Team Services internally when working on projects for Microsoft, or does the team decide what tools to use? For the most part, for things like Visual Studio, we use VSTS. For things like .NET Framework, we try to use VSTS as much as possible, but there are things that we want to be open source, so we move those over to GitHub. .NET Core, ASP.NET Core, and Visual Studio Code, because we want that rich public-facing open source interaction, we're going to use GitHub first. We will use VSTS as our continuous integration engine and use that to build and deploy. And we had, I'm going to call back to build, we actually use VSTS to build and source control Windows. So every time that you've gotten a build of Windows for at least the past year, it's come out of source control on VSTS. It's been built by VSTS. Now granted on some significantly larger servers and tested on a significantly larger deployment farm, but it's all coming out of VSTS. Damn, I turned you up and my ears just died. I'm sorry. YouTube volume was 5 times louder than my voice. Oh. Do I need to turn up my voice? Do I need to turn up my mic? I can bump it up here. That's not a problem. Test, test. Is that a little bit better? Nope. Fritzbot got that question wrong. Yeah, 30%. The video was super loud. Yeah, I have desktop audio. Oh, wait a sec. That was coming through. Interesting. All right. You're fine now. Yeah. All right. Just switched my company to VSTS. Loving it so far. Glad to hear it, Meat Popsicle. All right. Free for a team less than 6 members. Yes. Yes. Give it a shot. Especially if you're working on an open source project or something like that. It's a... it'll be fun. I think it's interesting, folks that are trying to apologize for people who... Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to get into that. All right. So here's my API. It's returning 2 properties, and if I look at the raw data and you actually see the JSON, it is formatted as a JavaScript object notation JSON document. And you can see the headers that come back here, and there's all kinds of fun goo in here that, for the most part, I don't care about. All right. So let's go back and let's see how to use this as a client here inside of our application. Wintermute says, I instituted an entire DevOps pipeline in VSTS at an old job and was DevOps lead. Fantastic stuff from the VSTS folks. Really cool. Congratulations, Wintermute. That sounds like an amazing accomplishment. How did your organization feel about having that pipeline? Was that something that they saw significant value from? Let me know. Can VSTS target VS 2013 XP builds? I believe it can. Oh, they loved it. Great. Glad. Oh, that's phenomenal, Wintermute. That's really good. Nifix asks, is this a Firefox extension? Yes, this is a Firefox extension. Add-ons. Not just LastPass. What else do I have here? Plugins. No. Legacy extensions? There we go. JSON data view is what I'm using. But, oh, it has been deactivated. Alright, well, which one am I using? It's not just that. No. Huh. Right, this was... maybe it is just what's coming in Firefox now. Interesting. Yeah, I think it is. It used to be something you had to install to get this. So, I guess I'm wrong. I know I had to install an extension in Chrome to get it to print it nicely like this. Let's see. Spawn Hub TV asks, I've been a huge fan of building web apps with F# with the Saturn framework recently. You know what? I do need to spend some time with F# and explore some of those frameworks over there. Maybe we can do a little bit of that in June. We were able to deliver new releases 5 times faster than our old build process. That is phenomenal, Wintermute. We went from having like 5 different disparate products to just using VSTS for the entire pipeline. That is really cool, and yeah, Wintermute thinks it's epic as well. I think you're right. Oh, looks like Brent just arrived. Good morning, Brent. So, I want to show you how to use this, right? We've been looking at, you know, we generated this JSON easily by just returning OK with some sort of an object in there. But let's actually parse and use this object inside of our application. To do that, I need somewhere to put it. I need somewhere to actually trigger it and show it. So let's just create another another method, easy for me to say, down here that just outputs the count nicely, you know, as a I don't want to put it as just a piece of text. Now let's output it just as a piece of text. Why not? Right? So I'm just going to add some space in here, and I will create an iAction result, and let's call this test client. Now, without putting any attribute on the top of this, it's actually going to be answering at /followers/test_client when I go to navigate to this. Now, I want to use HttpClient to query and load data out of my get method that's answering at API/followers. So let's construct that URL, right? Let's actually have it available for us here. It's /AP, not APU, API/followers. Now, I could actually, oh, DQ Twitch, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. I could actually build this URL by using URL dot either route URL or action. Okay, generates an absolute path for an action method. Yeah, I think I would want action is what I would really want. And then I can specify the name of the action method, which in this case is get. Right? And it'll actually generate that URL for me here that points to whatever this attribute is. Okay, wherever that's actually answering. So because I've specified the action is get, right? That's the name of the method. It will inspect that and give me a string for that URL. Wintermute asks, do you have a favorite installer build tool, Mr. Fritz? Please, either call me Fritz, you can call me Jeff. Mr. Fritz is my dad. But NSIS, Squirrel, etc. You know what? I don't do too much installing, building client-side apps. I need to get back to that. And with some of the cool new announcements around .NET Core 3, I think we need to do some Windows application development here on stream. And then I can answer that question a little bit better, Wintermute. So right now, I don't have a favorite tool because I haven't built client-side applications in a while. Brady Gaster chimes in. Good morning, Brady. Listening on the way to work and chatting in the line at Starbucks. Hey, Starbucks. How's it going? I could use some stars on my account, Starbucks. I'll take a triple venti white chocolate mocha with whip, please. Decaf on the bottom. I've never built Windows apps. I'd be interested in that. And Brady says, good morning, Philadelphia. Yeah, thank you. I'm enjoying the medium of radio. What can I tell you? I meant to load up, I went and downloaded a couple of Brady Bunch sound effects, and I meant to load them onto my Stream Deck. And I haven't gotten there yet. So the craziest sound effect I have right now is only Ric Flair. And of course, we all love Ric Flair. Thanks, Rick. Has anyone tried code signing in VSTS? Yes. Jobun, our friend Oren Novotny, has an amazing configuration to do code signing in VSTS. It's really cool. And Oren's been actually reaching out and saying, hey, why don't we finish that deployment bit that we were working on here, that we were working on stream. So maybe we'll bring him back. Yes, Spawn Up. Woohoo! First world problems, paying $7 for a glorified milkshake. I like coffee. What can I tell you? Yoshi says, I think I'm going to switch to VS Code. Writing .NET Core seems bulky for this kind of work. Is that just my opinion? Oh, because Visual Studio is kind of heavy. Could you recommend any extensions for Visual Studio Code .NET Core development? Yoshi, that's a great question. I've gotten it once or twice before. Brady in the chat room, Brady can chime in. He's got a couple of extensions that he's built for Azure deployment that make that easier. I have just a few installed that I use specifically for .NET. Of course, I want to bring in editor config so I enforce some of the look and feel. C# kind of comes with Visual Studio Code. HTML, CSS support the mono debugger. NuGet package manager is great to have. Live Share. Make sure you install Visual Studio Live Share. Visual Studio Live Share is now completely free for everybody to use. It's in public preview. Folks can connect in and collaborate with you, pair program with you, live in Visual Studio Code. And that's not just for .NET applications. It works with like a dozen different languages. I'm looking here. Learn more. And to be clear, let me go down here. Where is it? There's somewhere they have a list of the languages that they support. Language and platform support. So Visual Studio Code, completely free, open source, works on every environment, Windows, Mac, and Linux. You can do development in Go, C++, Erlang, Haskell, PHP, Ruby, Rust, Swift, Dart, Perl. No Kotlin. Sorry, no Kotlin yet. Clojure, Scala. And you literally don't touch any Microsoft properties if you're using Visual Studio Live Share. So for folks out there in the open source community, I urge you, be more productive. Work together. Don't wait for the Git check-ins, and actually pair program together in Visual Studio Code. It doesn't even connect to Microsoft servers. It connects and does peer network connections to share your code. So check that out. Stream latency is low today. Well, Jobun, I turned on the low latency beta here on the Twitch channel. So there you go. I had a free one today, and I do my .NET Core code in a Mac in VS Code. Oh, you had a free coffee today, I think is what Brady's referring to. But I've deprecated as the team made better ones. What would be a good framework for single-page applications for a novice, asks Coincidence26. And Clojure gives me the shivers, SpawnHub says. Coincidence, it's... A lot of folks really love Angular 6. I mean, really love it. I hear good things about Vue. I would check those out. The Blazor project is coming along, and I think is going to be something special when that finally lands, because you'll be able to run native C# code in the browser. So I would take a look at Angular, Vue as full frameworks that you can use. There's a lot of great resources out there for Angular, and we actually have some facilities available for you as well with .NET. All right, so those are some of the extensions that I recommend. Let's actually finish writing a little bit of code here to query, get my data, and return it for this. Visual Studio Live Share should be used for mentorship and pair programming. I cannot agree more, Wintermute. That is a fantastic idea. I think there's a space in a college classroom for an instructor, a computer science instructor, to be on screen and showing code just like I am here, and for students in the audience to be able to mob program in and connect in and have the instructor almost like the old days where they would say, now Jeff, come on up and solve the math problem here on the chalkboard here for us, and they'd hand you a piece of chalk and you'd get dust all over as you wrote up on the blackboard. I think there's definitely a spot for folks in the computer science classroom of 2019 for the professor to be able to say, the instructor to say, hey Jeff, hey Brady out there in the audience, finish this method for us here from your desktop because you're from your seat using your laptop or your tablet because you're connected in and you're watching the instructor code, and then be able to give that one student right access to modify the code on screen. You're welcome, Yoshi. That's what I'm here for. I want to answer your questions. I want to be able to help you folks, and also write some code together. Hey there, Power Skills. Welcome to the stream. let me know. Let me know if you have any questions that we can help answer here. But we're writing some .NET code here today. I want to finish this sample showing how you can get data from an API, from a .NET web API. Does LiveShare do version control? No. LiveShare just gives you a connection right now into the other person's application, but you can share your terminal and fire off Git commands from there if you'd like. But it will come from that Git commit will not come from the person who fired the command, but the commit will be signed with and will have the person's name for who's hosting the terminal, if that makes sense, right? So I might be able to run the terminal on Brady's machine or on Jobun's machine, but if I do a commit while I'm on the shared terminal that Jobun is sharing, it's going to come from the commit. It's going to have his name on it, not mine. That's a little confusing. Power Skill says, hey man, yeah, thanks for welcoming. Maybe I have a question about hash tables within PowerShell, but let me finish my plate. I think you mean first. I'm not too familiar with PowerShell. Let's take a look. Would I do a live share with us someday? I did one on Tuesday last week in person with our friends Sinclairinator and Eldorian live from Build at the live share exhibit. That was pretty cool. But do a live share with folks in the viewer chat room? Let's work on that. I think we can make something like that happen. All right, so let's finish this. I want to actually now fetch data from this URL, deserialize it, and do something with it. So I can use the JSON.NET framework and contribute and put this together. Oh my gosh, Wintermute, you're flattering me here. Anders Heilsberg and myself are your dev heroes. Wow. Thank you. That is some lofty company. Anders Heilsberg, of course, is the inventor, the founder of not just C#, but TypeScript, Delphi, and another language you may have heard of called Pascal. Thank you, Wintermute. That is a phenomenal compliment. I am flattered. I just want to help folks learn, answer your questions, and kind of be the developer's morning radio show. All right, so I'm now like forgetting where I was with writing this JSON.NET code. So I can use JSON.NET to call an API. Let's see if I can grab some code here to do this quickly. Call a web API from a .NET client. Bazinga. I mean, it doesn't get any clearer and simpler than this. Now this says it wants to create an HTTP client and actually say client get async and then do response content read as async. You can do that. Turbo Pascal, that's what it was. Thank you. I couldn't remember if it was Turbo or regular Pascal, but yes, Turbo Pascal, which is funny because we learned that in college. And now I work with the guy. You could do this with HTTP client, but there is a way, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to open that one and leave it over here to the side. There is a way to call it directly from JSON.NET. Here it is. And it's an older method. Building the formatter. Oh, look at that code formatting. That's kind of fancy. JSON serializer create, new stream reader, JSON text reader. It's actually reading the stream directly. Hosting the controller. Yeah. No. There's a way to do this directly with the JSON. Here we go. Efficient API calls. I think this might be what I'm looking for. Wow, that zoomed in pretty good. This is from John Theriot. I'm trying to find JSON convert deserialize object, and it's actually doing HTTP client get string async. So let's do that. Regular Pascal was created in 71 by Nicholas Wirth at the University of Zurich. Well, cool. Thanks for the history lesson. See that? I'm not a computer science student, but that's really cool. Have to leave early today. See you guys next time. Oh, thanks for joining us. And is that Champions Bane? Or is it Eric? I don't know. Let me know how to pronounce that next time. We'll get that fixed. Aliens Philly style. No, this is Alienware, right? There's actually, see that? Alienware. I got a B+ when I took programming language theory, says Wintermute. Okay. Let's steal this here. Let's borrow this snippet of code. I thought there was a way to do it all directly in JSON.NET. Cancellation support. Meh. We'll figure that out later. All right. Let's go back to our source code, and I'll just paste in that little bit here. Now, I'm going to warn you. With ASP.NET 2.1, you should not be doing this. You can actually request an HTTP client, and it will make it available for you. I'm going to do a command period there, so I can trigger this this light bulb and generate my using statements automatically there for HTTP client. Why am I getting? I need this to be an async method, right? So one of the features inside of C#, not just C#, inside of .NET is now the ability to have these async keywords to automatically use, to automatically do asynchronous method processing. I bet Fritz has an Alienware device. And I'm not using them. They're older devices. They were really expensive, and I kind of regret how much I paid for them. No more Linux hat, fired. Oh, Engel Zolski. We rotate. We wear different hats on every stream. I still have my red hat. My red hat. Say that? There you go. Yes. Many hats. Too many hats. You're getting ahead of me there, MHD Bauk. But yes. And there's the Fritzbot answering. You're right. So when you have an async method here, you should return a task. That's a little bit better. And so this task object is really a marker that says, here's where you'll find the result when it's done. All right, I'm going to finish command dotting through this to generate all my using statements. Now, there is no such thing as list model yet. I'm going to be deserializing this into some sort of an anonymous object, the content that came back. And I'm not returning that directly. Okay, this is going to return some sort of an object, which isn't really, right? This doesn't. An explicit conversion exists. Yes. All right. So I have this as my object. So let's do this. Object returned data, let's call it. Yes, I know. So let's call this returned data equals that. All right, we're in better shape. And now I can actually go through and inspect and yes, I am Meat Popsicle, red hat. I know, doesn't that sound weird? I've had that hat for almost 20 years, actually. So I should talk to the folks at Red Hat and see if I can get a new red hat. And I'd actually really like a red fedora. Wonder if they'll give me one. Gotta buy some caps one day. You know what? And Engelzuski, I literally buy caps every time I go somewhere. When I was at Build last week, I got like 3 or 4 caps because people were handing them out. And I was like, oh yes, I'll take several. I had that purple Xamarin one that I wore last week. That was kind of neat. But I do have folks that are now sending me caps to wear, and I'm like I said, I'm going to wear them and encourage those folks to make a donation to our friends at Girl Develop It in exchange for me wearing their cap and saying a couple of words about their company and their product. Do I wear fedoras in general? I would wear them more if I wasn't, typically going out and just hopping in my car and driving to someplace. But if I was, wearing them, walking around town, walking to work, that kind of thing, I would. But not usually. Is it a naming convention to name the method as async when working with an async method, like test client async, or is it not? You're absolutely correct. It is a naming convention to do that. However, in ASP.NET MVC, when you have a method name inside of a controller, that method name by default is going to be the URL that I'm listening to. So if I were to make this test client async, it's going to actually have the word async on it. So that feels kind of weird. Now, return data, right, it's an object that has two properties. It has, right, follower count and as of date. So it's an int and a date. I wonder if I can make this a tuple. No. Yeah, let's see if we can do that. Right? I'm going to use the old tuple object, and I will have it receive an int and a date time. Let's see if that works. So let's change this to tuple int date time. Let's see if this works. I don't know if this will work. I'm literally making up this sample on the fly. So could you or someone else quickly remind me what a tuple is? Sure, a tuple is just in this case, this object, it's a reference object that has a number of properties available to it, right? And Mads had a name for this. This is a tuple type, but we also now, with C# 7, have something called value tuples, where I can actually define a type like this. And this is a type, right? I can actually say, 1, and let's just say datetime dot today, right? And now I have this some data type that has item 1 and item 2, and it's a value type, which means that it's going to go onto the stack, not the heap, and it'll be reclaimed and managed a little bit easier for you. I can also expand this and actually put, right, I can actually put not just int on here, but I believe is it like this? No. Wait a sec. I think it was like that. No. I'm forgetting the syntax here. As of something like that. Now I want to go find that value tuple. No. There we go. This one. There's a way to name the different properties in the tuple, and I'm forgetting what they are. Yeah. It's the name colon, and then whatever it is. So when I name them, yeah. I thought I did that right. What doesn't it like here? No code actions available. Tell me about it. Int count, do I have them backwards? I do. Thank you. So now I can actually say, and it knows those properties. There they are, right? And I can even cast it back to that reference type tuple. So that's cool. The tuple class object. I thought the return syntax is type name. Yeah, that's what it is, fossils. I got it backwards. So I could use that. I'm going to use the reference type here just to see, make sure I can get deserialize object to return these. So now I should be able to do something like return. Let's see, I can actually, I don't want to return a view. I could do return JSON directly and return JSON again, right? And actually specify, well, what's the data that I'm returning? And I could say return data dot item 1 to return the follower count. I'll save that, let this recompile. And you'll see how easy it is then to just use the client, HttpClient, to fetch that URL, deserialize it, and spit it out. And that'll answer the question that we had there from Bobby inside of the Livestream project. All right, let's refresh that. So API followers, it still returns that information, but if I go to followers./test client, now it goes to that method and I get nothing coming back. Nothing. Aspiring DevOps Guru, greetings. Good to see you. It didn't actually return anything. Why not? Let's log what that URL is. Actually, here we go. Look at this error. Invalid request URI was provided. Well, what URI was it going to? You turkey. I think I have a logger here, don't I? Nope, I don't have a logger. Well, that makes me feel bad. I thought I did. Nope. Bummer. All right. Let's add one. I'm gonna put it in here. Logging. Is it logging or logger? I thought it was logger factory. Logger factory. All right. I think I need to command dot. Yep. And let's say this dot logger equals logger factory dot create logger. All right, so now I've got a logger. Oh, I need to give it. Fine. Followers controller. Actually, let's do this. I can say name of this. There we go. And we need to create this object, so I'll generate a read-only property for that. All right, so now let's go back down to test client, and let's logger.log log information, requesting URL, and let's actually output what the URL is that it requested. We should see what it did there. iLogger, followers controller, logger should work. Instead of receiving a logger factory, I should be able to say actually, right? Create logger. I thought there was a, yeah, there it was. Right? Followers controller. Let's let that rebuild. Mr. Magoo.
3 months since I joined and still not finished coding. Smiley face.
Thank you so much for the subscription, Mr. Magoo. I will match that subscription, and that'll be another donation to our friends at Girl Develop It. Eventually, I'm going to start a tote board up here once I start getting some of that cash paid out from Twitch. They're taking their good old time here. I can just add iLogger, followers controller, logger to the constructor. let's give that a shot in just a second here. I want to take a look at what the error is it writes out. It didn't even log that information for me. Look at that. Look at that. That feels terrible. Oh, wait, look at this. Hosting environment production. Well, there's our first problem. What is it? ASPNET core environment equals development. All right, try that. And so you're telling me I can go followers controller like that. Fancy. All right. I thought there was a way you could do that. There we go. Look at and now comes the bots. Thank you, Meat Popsicle, for the emotes. Nar003. Hello. Good to see you here in our chat room. Look forward to your questions. Let me know. Dun, dun, dun. Let me know if you have any questions about .NET development here that I can help answer. So let's refresh this. There we go. Now I'm getting it. Now I'm getting some error messages here. But I should have my URI. It's still not logging that information here. But that sure looks like I'm not getting anything coming back here. That's interesting. I should be able to say URL action and have it return the action method. Let's see. What if I do... Let's do this. API followers. There's a way to specify a name here as well. Template. I thought I could specify a name on get. It's failing before reaching the log call. Is it? Get async, get string async. It's failing on line 90. No, it's down here. It's doing the log. It should be doing the log and it's not getting there. It's not outputting any information. I thought there was a way, though, to specify the name of the route here, and I don't see it. So I'm just going to copy and paste this here, just to get through this. Right? And I need a slash in front of that. Yeah, log level's not being set somewhere. Alright. So that should now... And I think I need to specify... Well, let's give it a shot again. Let's see what happens. So it's restarting here. And we'll kick that off. There we go. And refresh. Still doesn't like that URI. Really? Do I need to specify base address on this thing? Even though it's, I mean, alright. So let's go down in here. Let's say client.base address equals HTTPS localhost 5001. Right, and I think base address needs to be a URI. It does. Alright, so we will make that a URI. Oops, stuck an extra space in there. Using code, you can't debug up to the .NET framework. You can. I'm just not debugging right now. I certainly could. And still getting it. SSL connection could not be established. See inner exception. Remote certificate is invalid. Yeah, I know. Okay, now I'm running into... That's an interesting problem. Because if I go HTTP, it's going to get really mad at me. So let's go down to startup. Like, right, it's going to bump me and say, oh, you're not using HTTPS, you should be. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to move this use HTTPS redirection up here, along with the HSTS, so that it only does those things for us when we're not in development mode. Alright. And good to see you, Evandro. Gosh. So now if I come back over here, let's go to 5,000 and drop the S. Server returned invalid or unrecognized response. Send to async core. Alright, so now... Finish and send async unbuffered. So just getting the client now. Change the port number to 5,000. Ah, thank you. There we go. Going to the wrong one. Yep, look at that. I had the port wrong. You're right. Alright, refresh, and now we should get the data. There we go. But I'm getting 0. Why am I getting 0? Because if I go to API/followers, I get 11. So something's happening that I'm not getting that data loaded properly. So let's take a look here. Let's say logger.log warning. Data fetched. Let's see what it actually returned. And I can actually specify, not return data, content. We'll take one more look at this, because I have a feeling I'm just doing something silly here. There's my 0. Data fetched, follower count 10 as of date UTC. So that looks good. I wonder. Aha. Bingo. This is an extension that's similar to something we have in full Visual Studio, where you can copy some JSON and it'll actually turn it into a class for you. Very, very handy feature to have. Maybe the tuple should be string. That's clearly an int. I could see that being a string here. Let's try changing that to a string. While we're waiting for that extension to install. This should kick off. Right, great, huge GIF, thanks a lot. Generate some Go code. Yeah. Alright, first saw it at build. Really? Aspiring DevOps Guru, that feature's been around for a long time. I'm not going to reload just yet. Good, we're done. Let's reload here. Still getting a 0. Nope, it's not string. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy this. And then I'm going to do the reload. Yep, reload window. I'm a noob. That's no worries. We find that there's a lot of features that folks just don't know about that are available out there that we need to do a better job of surfacing and sharing with folks. Alright, so I should be able to say now, right, paste JSON as code. top level name. Here we go. So I'm going to name it. Let's call this follower test. All right, so namespace quick type, all this goo, follower test, here, JSON property for each one of these. Look at this, even a partial class to say from JSON to load it up. That's actually really cool. So let me use that instead of the deserialize up here. Right, if I make this a follower test, right? Yep, that's fine. Can you use a dynamic there since you aren't strict typing an object? Oh, let's go with that. Let's see what we have there. Right, if I do that, and if I see return data dot, and then it was follower count. Needs to be dynamically dispatched, but cannot because it is part of base access. Consider. That's fine. So let's say int. No. Yeah, int follower count equals returned data dot follower count. And then I can change this to just that. That's I hadn't even thought about that in Meat Popsicle. So there's a dynamic language keyword you can use that allows you to just kind of bolt on whatever property names you'd like. And, oh, where did my .NET go? Yes, it's already running, isn't it? No, I'm in the wrong folder. Haha! There we go. Scary but useful. Easily abused feature as well. But folks that are coming to .NET or C# from Ruby love the dynamic keyword because that's what they're used to. Now if I refresh, oh, now I'm getting an error. SSL connection could not be established. Wait a sec. What? What? I thought I wasn't. Oh, look at that! My address went back. Wrong button. Not that one. Okay. So let's go to followers, test client. Get rid of the HTTPS, Jeff. No, it's still routing. I thought we got rid of this in startup. Oh, it thinks it's in production, that's why. Silly. Because I did the reload. ASPNET core environment equals development. Try this again. Dan Roth presented this feature. Paste JSON as code in the build session, What's New in Web Development, and they were all amazed. Very cool. You're welcome, MHD Bauk. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. Of course, this will be captured and available later over on, what's it called? YouTube. Because that's what we do with the YouTube things. Why does that say exited? Has to be, I hope that's a previous. All right, let's go back. So there's API followers. I should refresh and get, still got data. So now if I go to followers test client, cannot convert null to int because it is a non-nullable value type. Let's look there. Follower count has a lower f. Mohammed Debok. Okay, there you go. Well, thank you, Mohammed. I appreciate you joining us. So this needs to be a lower f because it's looking for that specific name when I use this dynamic, right? When you use a dynamic type and you have a property on the end of it that you want it to look up, it needs to match exactly in case and syntax. So let's refresh, and we should get that now. There we go. So there's, in a very long sample that shouldn't have taken that long, just a little bit of code to call that API. I'm going to copy and paste this sample into the answer for this question. We reviewed a sample on the May 15th show, and you can find more in the Microsoft Docs at, there we go. Terrific. All right. Whew. It's been a while since I'd answered a question here on stream. I'm feeling a little bit better about that. Let's see here. ASPNET boilerplate. I think they're actually calling it in the box or something. I need to look at that, but section on using span from Mr. Magoo. Hey, Mr. Magoo, you're still out there. We will have Imo Landworth on the CSharp Workshop on May 18th. And he will talk about span of T. All right. That was from January. Now I feel bad that I didn't answer some of these questions that are going back a while. Webhooks for ASP.NET Core. I thought we had webhooks working. I thought we did. ASP.NET Core webhooks projects, libraries to consume webhooks for ASP.NET webhooks. Yeah, that's different. Provide support for receiving webhooks. There you go. So it looks like it's available. Looks like it is available, and more is detailed on the project page at. Clean that up. All right. Need an outro. I kind of have that. Configure Nightbot. I'm going to close this because I'm getting rid of Nightbot. Let's see, what else do we have here? How and why should I upgrade my existing library to .NET Standard? I think we answered this question. Yep, we did discuss this. Goodbye. We need a PowerShell stream. Yes, absolutely. Windows subsystem for Linux. Yes. All right. Let's go back over to this project. And I wanted to go in a little bit further, not on Marquee. Average Joe just joined the chat room. Good morning. I wanted to take a little bit further look at one of the features that we received a pull request for, and that was a scoreboard. So I think, hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I'm going to Alienware laptops that have Windows subsystem for Linux. Yeah, you know, there's something. It's a very cool thing, right? I think a lot of folks in the Linux community would be very happy to see that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let me revert where we were here. I'm not going to save this code. I think I'm in dev, yeah. So let's git reset the followers control. No, just everything. Back to dev. Good. All right. So we received a, let's do .NET Watch run so that it's running here in our terminal. I'm even going to split this. So there's a cool new split terminal button over here so I can have two terminals running side by side. And I want to take a look at the configuration and the capabilities for this new GitHub scoreboard. So that was localhost 5000. It's going to route me over to 5000. That's... Ugh. No, no, no. Localhost 5000. Alright. So we have this GitHub information, contributors information page here that allows me to configure the repository owner and the repository name that we want to look at. Okay. And then that's the, yes, I know, I click configuration. And what it looks like when you click into it is it shows you this list. But the problem that I have with this is it's not very widgety for placing in our video here, right? I can't embed the way that this looks in the video because if I do, it's going to bring along my header and my footer. So I need to drop those out. And I think I want to do some things to make this look a little bit, be able to configure the look and feel a little bit more. So let's go back over here. Inside of GitHub controller, it's collecting and saving the information. Verify user. It's saving into our configuration object here, which I don't think it will actually persist between sessions. That's interesting. But this, when I actually view the page, right, contributors information, it goes and it gets all of this stuff to bring back. Now, this get is async, so it's going and getting that async, async. And I don't think I even really need to await these two. Right, I think I could kind of chain some of these together. Because right now, it's going and getting it, waiting for it to come back. And I think we could actually chain some of these together as separate tasks and just wait for them all to finish. Fire off all three requests at once, wait for them to come back. Additionally, I think we want to cache this so I'm not hitting GitHub every time that I request this data. So I'm hearing, I'm looking at it and seeing a couple things that I want to do to improve the scoreboard. Okay, so let's create a new issue here and let's call it improve GitHub scoreboard. And really, I think this may turn into a project. We need to take a few steps to make the scoreboard a bit more of a widget with some additional configuration options. So I'm going to start to create a checklist, and you can create a checklist in a GitHub issue by using dash space and then use 2 square brackets with a space in the middle, and then you specify the name of whatever the task is. So fix layout to not show header and footer. Fix HTML to be more easily embedded in OBS, because that's really where we're going to end up with this. Add configuration options for fonts, colors. What else would it be cool to do? Scrolling. What do you think? Would scrolling be cool? I'm thinking. So let me know, chat room. Tell me what you think of this. Right? You guys have seen ESPN or your favorite news network, CNN, Fox News, Headline News, whatever. Right? You're watching the news in the morning, and there's the little crawl that goes across the bottom of the screen that says, hey, here's last night's scores. And it might be neat to instead of showing the scoreboard like this, instead show it as a scroll at the bottom of the page. ASPNET Core Razor pages, by the way. What about Razor pages? What do we got there? Did I mention today's song? I should go back and make sure that I mentioned today's song. This is, of course, music to code by, and this song is called Orange, and it's from our friend Carl Franklin. You can always get a copy of Music to Code by from mtcb.pwop.com, or you can even get the app at musictoflowby.com. You can subscribe to that and get groovy new songs that are engineered to help get you into the flow each month. Brand new song. So like a GitHub marquee. Yes, aspiring DevOps guru. That's what I'm thinking. An average Joe. Yeah, exactly. Like a stock ticker. What about showing up in leaderboard cards? This long message. I don't see your message, Yoshi. I'm sorry. Let me look over here. No, I don't see your message. I'm looking at my logs. I do not see a message. I'm sorry. So I think setting up like a stock ticker. So scrolling like a ticker. Leaderboard cards I like also. And I think there's a new feature that the Windows team is working on called Adaptive UI cards. Adaptive cards? Is that what they call it? Here it is. And this is actually a Windows feature that you can have, so it'll display a leaderboard here automatically, and all you do is output JSON. That might be cool to be able to do. And I actually reached out. Yeah, I'm not seeing your message, Yoshi. I'm sorry. I've actually reached out to the folks that build this feature on the Windows team, and I thought it would be great to have one of them on to talk about how my JSON data that we have in our core wiki project, or maybe even some of the data we have here in this project, could be output and consumed by adaptive cards. So I think this is an option as well at some point. Wow. All right, Yoshi, you've got a couple questions there. Let's adaptive cards, and let me just copy this URL in, and let's take a look. I'll submit that issue just so we get something out there. So Yoshi, let's see. You've got a really good question here, it looks like. If you be so kind to answer it, never a problem, Yoshi. Please bring your questions anytime. I've written a web server in ASP.NET Core where I can upload files using an AJAX post through a page. After upload, the site refreshes and displays those files as clickable icons, like a simple file browser. Okay, sounds good so far. I'm trying to add support for folders, and my question is, how can I reload a page after clicking a folder icon, do an AJAX post with the name of the folder to redirect to after page refresh, but every time I do it, my variable current directory gets reset for some unknown reason. Don't know if you understand this, but let's try. Yep, we see your message. And you're right, Janescu, there is a C# library that you can use, but I want to bring on some of those folks from the Adaptive Cards team and you know, help them promote their feature. You know, let's talk about it a little bit. Bob is not Dave just joined us. Okay? Bob, Dave, whoever you are, welcome. And I will comment here. I know that we have mostly fellas in the chat room. I want to make sure that ladies feel non-threatened and that they join us here as well. You know, Muhammad was joining us a little bit ago. I want to make sure that people, no matter your background, your gender, you're welcome. You can join me here and ask any question you have. No pressure ever, you know, to be correct or anything like that. You know, we're all friends here. But Yoshi, that sounds like an issue in your code somewhere, that you're dropping your variable for the current directory. I would need to see a little bit of sample code to help you out. If you have an open source project out there that we can point to and we can take a look at, I'd be happy to take a look at it with you. But it actually sounds like you could do just the straight directory browser in ASP.NET Core for those folders that you want folks to be able to navigate through. But let me know. I think we need to look at your code there a little bit. You should absolutely be able to do that. But of course, every time you click through to a new directory, right, that's another post back, so you're going to want to see, you're going to want to reload your variables there. So here's what I'm thinking about to improve the scoreboard. And a couple of these I think we can do quickly and easily. Scrolling like a ticker I think is going to be a heck of a lot of fun to build, as well as leaderboard cards. Now the next question I'm going to have is, how and when do I show the leaderboard here inside my user interface, right? So my question to you, our viewers, our pair programmers that are tuned in and watching, if we were to take the content of this leaderboard, and I think each one of these is a separate panel, what if, so I've got that event list there in the corner, what if we swap that out with each one of these, the top 5 contributions, and we had it rotate and appear there with the event list? Or we start dropping the follower goal here at the top of the screen, and we just have a follower count over on the side here, and maybe we have a marquee that goes by here. Is that Reggie Turbo? Thank you for the follow, and I see you there in the chat room. Welcome. I look forward to your questions. Let me know. We're writing some .NET code here on a Mac and building some things here. All right, here. Bot command. How many ladies are watching Fritz's stream right now? You know what? I don't think that's... I don't specifically come out and ask folks, you know, hey, you know, what gender are you when you're watching the stream? Where are you calling in from? You know, I don't require any of that demographic information from you, but I know in looking at the demographic information for my YouTube channel, it does capture that information because it knows who you are on Google. You've shared that information, so it will let me know. So I gotta, you know, I want to make sure that other folks feel welcome here, you know. That feels too ASL. I'm not sure what ASL you're referring to. I know that's not the intent. I'm not sure what you're referring to by ASL. I'm sorry. But I want to make sure that everybody's welcome here, you know? IRC days. Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah, we're not... I should have known that. But yes, that's a whole different thing that like I said, I want to make sure everybody feels welcome. You know, I think from some of the folks that I see in the chat room that do keep coming back, that you guys do feel welcome and that you enjoy tuning in. So let's start cleaning up this user interface a little bit. See if I can jump through and take care of one or two of these issues here real quick. So the first thing I want to do is come down to Views, GitHub, Contributors Information. And we have this very, very simple item here to show the various pages. I want to shut off the layout here, and that's real easy to do by just saying I think it's @page dot layout equals null, I believe is all that you need to do. If I look at the followers count, there it is, just layout equals null. All right, fine. I'll get rid of the @page. And now that should just get rid of the layout. Now, because I was modifying Razor, that Razor markup is actually, it's being, oh, nuts. It's parsed at read time here. I need to put an @ sign around this so it knows that this is C# code inside of that. And it should, there we go. Now it got rid of it. Yeah, nice. What is that a smiley face? I think that's a smiley face. All right. Let's see, what do we have here? So we got rid of this, and now it's very plain, right? We do need to bring in some of the things to allow us to mark up and give it some style, right? Because if you look at how we output the count information, I am actually forcing HTML around this and specifying some simple style information. So let's start doing a little bit of that. Right? So head. I've got an extra. Alright, let's get rid of that. All the way to the bottom. And I'm old school. I like to actually define and use all the tags. There we go. All right. So I've got H2 and then an ordered list, an H2 and then an ordered list. So I think we were looking at for Bootstrap, we were using card layout with that. That would be nice if this was just going to be on a page, but I want this to be a widget that I could embed and I could put in several different locations. Let's think about this. If I wanted it to be a marquee, it would really just be one really long HTML document, right? With maybe a div that we were scrolling, and we could set the scroll speed. That wouldn't be too bad, would it? Thinking out loud? I mean, we could just tell all these list items to float left and put a little bit of margin on them, and away we go. What's that look like? Let's see. Let's call this div ID equals content. And this first one we'll call top week. Right, and then that one top month. All right, just so I have a little bit of with Bootstrap for card, and if the items go as one card. Right. Let's call it all time, not ever. There we go. And go down to the end of this. Oh no! There we go. A little bit of formatting. Still didn't tabify everything. So I could do it as a bootstrap card, and then everything would go as... So I'd want to have it flip, right? Have some animation so that it flipped. Right? That would be neat. But I almost want that as a completely separate layout. You know? But if I wanted it as a marquee, having it in these separate divs gives me the ability now to... Come on. Selection. Format document. Right? Where's that format? Format document. Ugh. Come on now. There's no document formatter for Razor files installed. You make me feel sad. Alright. So this didn't actually change anything in the way that it looks, right? It's HTML, big deal. But if I wanted everything to appear on one line, I could say here inside my head, right? H2OL, no, OLLI, float left, margin left, 3 pixels. Now it should be really, really long, right? Right, one line. All right. So top week, top month, top all time. Top week, there's no entries yet. So really, we shouldn't show top week yet. Or maybe we put an entry in that says no leaders yet. What do you think? I think that makes sense. If model.topweek contributors dot count equals 0, else we'll output that. No contributors this week. Right? All right. So it's still not perfect. Bob is not Dave. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Let's make these display as inline block. That should help with some of this. All right. So we're getting better. It's still not great. I think we want to make content. Right? Do I want it as 100%? No, I want it bigger than 100%. I want it to expand. Overflow X. No. I don't want it to scroll. I want it visible. It's still... Right, I'm expecting... See how this is... In my spare time, just GitHub, blah, 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 blah. Tell you what, Yoshi, I'm trying to think, how can you get me that link a little bit easier? whisper me that link in Twitch, and we'll take a look at that. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. This should probably be something like a span. Which means I need to put a span on this thing too. Font size, let's say 12 point, just to get everybody on the same size. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. It should. No. Right, see, it's wrapping. I don't want it to wrap. I want it to always be full size. Let's shrink this down just a bit. Let's see if we can fix that. Overflow X visible. Yeah, I want it to grow as big as it needs to. Let's see here. Div grow horizontal content. Width 2000 pixels. Yeah. As long as you clear both on it. No, that's stupid. That's not it. I know that's not it. You can, by placing all the overflow hidden CSS style to the parent div, if the children are all positioned absolutely. If the content inside your div is floated, it won't expand. Well, there's my problem right there. By placing the overflow hidden CSS style on the parent, this will not work if the children are all positioned absolutely. When you absolutely position in an element, blah, 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 blah. So it's saying overflow hidden? Interesting. Let's give that a shot. No, that didn't work. I didn't think that would work. No. Using display table in the parent div makes it grow even if its contents are floating elements. That feels even better. Now, even worse, it put carriage returns. It puts it clear on both. Why would you put it clear on both? Maybe. Nope. It wraps. Let's see what we got here. Grow horizontally with floated content. I don't want it to horizontally align 3 divs? No. Floats outside to stretch. Here we go. Overflow hidden on the parent div, don't specify a height. Is to also float the parent div. Really? What was it saying? Float left. Width. That's not ISPO width. 100%. All right. Nope, still wraps. And you feel shame. Another way is to use a clear element. Oh, and put it underneath of it. All right. If you make a card and that title is top week. Right. Oh, yeah. No, I definitely think that that's a thing we could do. I'm going to do the marquee first, and then we can look at doing a card layout. Right, the class was clear. What? Oh, fine. Dot clear. And then, oops, went too far. Clear left display block. All right, clear left display block. No, still wraps. Wait a sec. You know what it's wrapping? Yeah. Then his card body would be list showing leaderboard. Yes, I think that's a great idea, Janesco. I want to do the marquee first. I think the divs here, because they're not floated. So let's see, if we go hash content, and then the next step down was the divs inside of that. Yeah. No. Flex. Ah. So if we went with flex, flex box float right. Excuse me. What's with the 18 out here? To make the score number to be float to the right. What's that look like? Flex direction row, align item center. This renders the three elements next to each other with the text occupying all the available space, therefore pushing score number. Let's go look at Flexbox. Container with items. Display flex. Flex direction row. All right, so content. If we say display flex. What was it? Flex direction. And we make this a row. Okay. So now, each one of the divs is appearing as a row. As an element in the row, but I want, I want them to each, I don't want it to wrap. So flex wrap, no wrap. I want each one of these to itself. Right? Can we do this? Getting there. But see, it's actually collapsing that up because of how much space it has. There we go. Look at that. Thank you, Franklin, for requesting the uptime there. Let's see. I don't want it to wrap. Flex flow. No. No. See, I want it to grow and fill as much space as it needs to. Align items. I think we want flex end. Oops, wrong way. I think I want the same here. Almost. Is there... let's go with center. Not that page. Wrong page. That one. Much better. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Flex grow 1 on child. Where's flex grow? It accepts unit list value. All items have flex grow set to 1. The remaining space in the container will be distributed equally. So you're suggesting put flex. Flexing is complex. Actually, I'm finding this to be to make a lot of sense here. So flex grow 1, and if we use that exact same setting on these, then it should allocate enough space for everything. No. Almost there. Flex shrink. Flex basis. Default size of an element before the remaining space is distributed. I don't want it to distribute it. Think makes more sense to have it in each page, but wasn't sure. Oh, hang on. Average Joe, I'm sorry. Do you recommend having your CSS syntax contained in each specific CSHTML page, or having one file that contains all your CSS? Depends. When I'm first developing, I like to have it in the same page. That way I can see it in the one page, and then I can tweak it and make it all work better together before I go and actually put it on other pages and reuse it. Flex items flexibility. I don't want it. See, I want it to overflow. Scrolling a flex box with overflowing content. Don't know exactly what layout you're trying to get, so difficult to help. Oh, so what I want to do is I want to have everything side by side in a div that grows to fit everything side by side with no wrapping at all. This can go away. Cool. Because if I want to have a marquee, I want to have all my words in one horizontal line. So, but I think the average Joe, to your point, and also to a little bit of what Janescu was suggesting, when I do that bootstrap look and feel, it's going to be slightly different markup, slightly different CSS. I'm going to use a different view to do that layout. I'll have the same model, but I'll have a different view that paints those as the bootstrap cards that Janescu is suggesting, because I think that's a really great idea also. But I'm kind of excited to look at this marquee capability. All right, let's open this up and see what's here. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Flexbox full page web layout. That's not what I'm looking for. On child, white space, no wrap. Really? Hey. Where'd Visual Studio Code go? Code. Thank you. So on here, try to look like marquee style scrolling text. Exactly. White space, and you're saying no wrap. White space. Okay, so far so good. Now, see, it's... Ah, there we go. Oh, there we go. So we'll be able to scroll that. Now, we still need to work on these items, getting them to no wrap and be floated, but we're getting closer. Let's go back over here. Those are these items here. Oh, look at that. I want the display to be just in line, I think. Nope. Because it shouldn't be doing... I don't want it to clear, right? I want them to all float to the left. Align items center. It could be cards what scroll automatically. Now that's interesting. That's a neat idea. But we're already out to 12:19, and actually, I have a podcast that I've been asked to be interviewed on here in about 40 minutes, and I want to make sure I get some lunch. Oh my gosh, Pac-Man Jr.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Thank you for the subscription. I will, of course, match that and make a donate, and we'll turn that into a donation to our friends at Girl Develop It. Thank you so much for supporting the stream here. I really appreciate it. Do I need that flex? You know, I've got the flex grow over here. So every one of these items, every one of our LI items should be filling up the space. But don't think you need the flex grow. This one? That one looks okay. Yep, that looks good. So we just need to figure out how to get these to stop putting the carriage return in between those. I think creating cards as max 5, so every item as a card with fixed width. I like that idea. I do. That makes a lot of sense to me. I feel like we're right about there, so that I've got these things laid out, you know, as very simple ordered lists. What other options do I have? Do I even really need the display here? No, I do, because that H2 is a block. You know what? Let's do this. Let's bring up the... Oh, no. All right, let's pop this out. Shrink this a little bit, and let's inspect, and let's tinker with... No, it's not the body. Come here, give me that one. That. All right. Float left, margin left. White space, no wrap. Okay. Computed is how big it is. Display, it's... Even though it says display inline, it's flipping over to display block. Now, putting important always feels kind of dirty to me, but... Right, the computed style on that is a block. I mean, there it is right there. You know? Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Nope. Because it's still displaying as block, even though it's OL inline, LI inline, LI list item. With SignalR streaming, so it could make scrolling text with ease like that stock demo, what could be still in SignalR samples. Exactly. Let's see how stock demo does it. There's gotta be something I'm missing here. Right, I don't care that it's SignalR, which version it is. I want to get the layout. Div ID stock ticker, div class inner, ULLI loading. You know what, maybe we just convert everything to a bunch of ULs. And get rid of the H2s. Did I navigate away from my application? I did. Oops. Now I've angered GitHub. I've refreshed it too many times. Yeah. All right. Caching in order to limit GitHub API requests. Yeah, we're gonna need to do that. Shoot, and Scott showed us a real easy way to cache that. Let me come back to that later. What I want to do to kind of wrap up where we are now. So if we take this and instead of having the H2s up at the top, if I do it as a span at the top of it, and get rid of each one of these divs that wraps it, right? If we get rid of that, and get rid of this one. How can we force that issue without it actually querying? Because now we got a problem. Right, that this query is, yeah. Where did Scott? Hard-coded fake data. I think you're right. That's going to be the way to go. But I'm okay with caching it for a really long time when we're in dev, you know? Let's see. ASP.NET Core cache. There's an... I remember there being an easy way to do this. Yeah, he was using iMemory cache. That was it. Add memory cache right there. Microsoft extensions caching memory. So let's go add iMemory cache to this project. And I'll go down and do it right here in the ASP.NET features. That was easy. Now in the GitHub controller, iMemory cache. All right. Got that. No, this dot cache equals cache. And generate, yep, read-only property. Good for me. GitHub ticker. using Bing. What? I use Bing first. Hang on, somebody has something on Bing. GitHub ticker. Ticker library, no. You said on, yeah, I'm on Bing. What do you got here? No, I don't want it vertical. I want it... I mean, vertical would be nice for when we get... Isn't there an add field if you control dot on added new constructor? Yes, did that. What, use SignalR and stream GitHub top contributors as scrolling text. Exactly, that sounds perfect. I'm going to put those values from GitHub into cache. So let's do this. Right, so it says if cache tried to get value. Oops. Oops. Try get value. All right, my key is going to be GitHub data and out model. So if we don't get that, I can do it without writing that line. What line? I need to add it to the cache, right? Oh, wait a sec. There it was. It was the get or create again. Here it is. Right, cache dot get or create GitHub data, and then the task is this. Now, await model equals. No, I'm sorry. Model equals await. Now this needs to, we need to return that model object at the end of this. So now, right, it's returning that object. Cannot be inferred. Hang on. Object key func cache entry. Yeah, all right. That's the factory that it's returning. And it is a GitHub information. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Func iCache entry. Oh, it's passing in an iCache entry. All right, let's do that. And It doesn't like the awaits in here. It's async in front. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So X is the iCache entry. So, right, get or create, I'm returning a task with my GitHub information. Cool. All right. Let's indent everything here. That's better. So now, if it's there, I also want to set how long I want it to wait too. That I want it to cache before it invalidates. Here we go. Equals datetime dot now dot add minutes 5. There we go. I think that works. And hopefully we can actually refresh this now. Now we got data. All right. All right. I'm going to come back and fix this CSS later. I am running out of time here. So what I will do, I'm going to commit these changes and label it as started work on, actually, what branch do I have here? Let me get rid of the scorecard branch. ZAK dash feature underscore. Good. Feature scoreboard. Let's commit that. Begin work on CSS for scoreboard widget. Git push. Upstream origin feature scoreboard. All right. There we go. Fantastic. All right, so we're working on this scoreboard. I think we can get some really cool stuff happening in this. Just because I think it's closer than we really think. We just need to do a little animation. I love Janescu's idea of using cards so that we can rotate through cards and have using bootstrap cards for this. I really like that. But we're getting closer here on these. So I've committed my changes. They're available now in a new branch over here so that we can add this feature easily into the application. And then hopefully we'll be able to replace and get a nice ticker that goes across, and then we'll be able to build that scorecard leaderboard we can put in the bottom right of the screen as well. So thank you everybody for joining me today. Thank you for your help pair programming. Thank you to all of our new followers, our resubscribers, Mr. Magoo and Pac-Man Jr. I really appreciate your support. Of course, we will make those donations to Girl Develop It. 20 to 1, time for lunch. Yes, I agree, AU for all. Minimal delay from Twitch. We're working on it. I think that's a great thing. Alrighty. I will archive off this video. It'll be available over on YouTube a little bit later today. Thursday, I hope you join me. We'll work through this. Hopefully, I'll do a little bit of research ahead of time, see if we can get this marquee working, and then we can start putting this layout into our user interface. Totally minimal delay from Twitch. Awesome. Glad to hear it, Janescu. That makes me feel a lot better about how things are going. You're welcome, Jobun. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me. I'll see you on Thursday. We'll do some more development on this. And remember, Friday is our big C# workshop. Let your friends know if they're interested in learning more. I appreciate the follow there. Is that X capital D? Thank you for the follow. You're catching me right at the end of the stream here, but I hope you join me on Thursday morning, and we'll do a little bit more work on this project. But Friday's our big workshop. 7 guest pair programmers teaching us soup to nuts everything that you want to know about C#. Alrighty, thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you then. Take care.